So, GM, everybody, welcome to another episode of CTA, or Creators Taking Action. We are live, as usual, with Pichi, and today we have a special guest, Samantha. I'm very excited for this conversation because it started on Warpcast, and hopefully we're going to bring in a lot of the things that made that thread for me super special, super memorable, super interesting, so that we can continue to dive deeply into this new creator economy. So, GM Pichi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. And I'm actually really excited about this convo as well, because I feel like there are not very many creators on Farcaster who are not, I would kind of say like founders or devs first in a very traditional way, doing like software as a service or some sort of software product or cast action, or frame thing that is directly connected to Farcaster, and they're very technical. And I feel like Sam is an exception who is crushing it and using the entire creator stack, but does not have a software business. And I feel like more people need to hear these type of stories so that they realize that there's space for everyone here. And the narrative that you have to be a dev to do well on Farcaster is not true. You have to just lean in. And I'm really excited to get to hear her story.
Yeah. And I will add that I do believe that there's people on Farcaster that are doing that, but none as successfully as Sam. Because I think if you follow Sam's Warpcast or Farcaster account, you will see that they are very thoughtful, not just about the technology that they're implementing into their business, but the way that they're developing their business. I've been following you I recently started following you on X, but I've been following you on Farcaster for a long time and met you IRL too. And I will say that you are very thoughtful. You're very considerate in terms of like the things that you do for your business. So I'm really excited to kind of touch on first of all, learn about you, learn about your business, but also learn about how you think about technology as it intersects with your business, which some might say, is not a tech business. And I think actually you may agree. So GM Sam, how are you doing today?
GM, thank you, Humpty and Pichi, for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I'm also pretty excited to talk to both of you because I've seen both of your content. And I just like it. Like, you two are like fun. You're down to earth. It was really lovely meeting both of you in person as well. So I'm so glad and grateful that you've invited me here to chat. So I guess I'll start with a little bit about the story of how I got into candles. So actually, it was in software for a long time. I was in startup world for around 7 years, until I got kind of tired of it. And I used to, after working for like a lot of hours for all of the startups, I ended up coming home and taking a bath and lighting a candle all the time. And I was buying these like really shitty candles from like HomeSense and Marshalls, and they would like go out in like 2 or 3 bath sessions. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to spend so much money on candles, like $20 or $30 a week, I might as well start making them myself. So I started making a few for myself, kind of talking to friends about like what kind of candle scents they like, making them for a few friends. And then it sort of snowballed into a business, which I'm grateful for and appreciative. And I never thought that I would be in this position. So I'm kind of grateful that my grief and my tiredness of working in the corporate world brought me to where I am now. In terms of how, I think your last question on how technology relates to my business, technology is a tool. I think people think like technology broadly has changed the world, is going to change the world. And yeah, for the most part, that's true. But the way that I view it is that it's just a tool to talk to your customers. It's a tool to distribute your product, and it's a tool to do things better. And that's how I feel about it.
I love it. And we're getting a couple of, already comments coming in through the stream on Unlonely. Definitely want to encourage everybody. Please do drop your questions in there. Looks like some of the mods that I set up last week continue to be mods today. So I appreciate Tori helping out there. And, in case I missed something, please do let me know or, elevate that, please. Sam, yeah, I really, I really am resonating with your story about candles. So, I definitely don't talk about it enough, but I'm with you. Like, I definitely love a bath. I think that that's just a wonderful way to like just have a lot of the days, just anguish and just stress wash away, and good music and really good scents and candles. Like, I think definitely elevate the space and make that so much better. So I did buy a candle from you at FarCon, and I'm ashamed to say it's unlit only because it's so beautiful. Like, not because I don't believe that it's going to be the best candle that I've ever owned. It's because it's almost like this piece of art. I think you've done such a tremendous job at like taking something that sure could be very much like an industrial craft, but really adding an element of artistry in there, which I think also kind of connects with this story of like people that are coming onto Farcaster that might not be developers. They're artists. Like, I think Pichi would be a great example of that. People who are connecting with an audience through their creative abilities. And so maybe we can talk a little bit about like candle making. I know you can go deep into rabbit holes here. So maybe you could just at a high level tell us a little bit about, the artistry in terms of like your influence and things that like really you bring to this space that is like new and novel and unique to you even.
Sure, yeah, thanks so much. And also thank you for buying a candle. Don't worry, I'll be making candles for a long time, so you can burn it and get another one if you'd like. But I have this principle in my life about things being beautiful. For example, with furniture. Furniture is very like utilitarian. People normally, when they're in different stages of their life, or they're students, or they're not sure where they're going next, people stamp on furniture. And this is going to sound like tangent, but I promise I'll bring it. Usually, I have this principle of things can be beautiful and useful. And when I first moved into my place, I had a lot of issues. And slowly, over time, I've been able to replace it to be useful and beautiful things. And I've brought the principle to candles. Because most candles, I'm going to be honest, are pretty ugly. But I don't really feel that when you look at a candle that you get at like Walmart or Bath and Body Works, you look at that and you think, this is beautiful and it smells great. You just said it's a candle. Uh, okay, I think that I that's what I like to bring to humankind is beauty and utility.
No, Sam, I love everything you said. I'm a huge proponent of things can be both functional and beautiful. And I think this is why I love Japan so much and resonate with the culture, because it's so much about that. Like, you can have both, and that's really hard for people. And also, your candles make me hungry. I would love to bake with you one day, because I think we could make beautiful cupcakes. Because I just love your vibe and your style, and getting to see the behind the scenes. Especially, I think there was one day where you were making some custom ones, and you were kind of showing us the in between stage before they're final and packaged. And it was fascinating to kind of get to watch this, because I'm a huge fan of that TV show, like How It's Made, and kind of getting to see the behind the scenes. And I felt for the first time, I got to kind of peel back the curtain on your work and see your process. And that was just wonderful, but it always makes me hungry. And I feel like that's a me thing, that candles should not make me hungry, but they look so beautiful. They looked like works of art, or even like very high-end chocolate when you were making the mini ones. And I just could not get over how gorgeous they were. And I was lucky enough to smell them at FarCon. So I know that, it's more than just the way they look, that this is such an aesthetic you've developed, and you've put so much thought behind it. And I just love getting to see that and hear it, and smell it, and kind of watch your whole process develop. Like, where do you get your inspiration for that? Are you trying to, bring things in from nature? Is it more that you're crafting, for an experience like a bath? Like, what are you thinking when you're deciding to make a batch of candles?
Thank you so much, Peachy. I don't even remember which photograph you're referring to, so I really feel honored that you would remember that, because I don't even remember that. So thank you. Honestly, the dual layers. Okay, so for everyone listening in, humankind makes dual layered candles. So what that means, it's like getting 2 scoops of ice cream in 1 cup, except you get 2 scents. So you'll have 1 scent on the top of the candle and 1 scent on the bottom of the candle, and they're different colored waxes and they're different scents as well. So you sort of get 2 candles in one. I have to say that this became I think a lot of the beauty honestly came from narrowing my business decisions down. So a lot of like typical candles that exist on the market, the way that they're doing things differently is that they do like different, they do like burn to reveal. So there'll be like text in terms of like beads. There's also like hidden gem candles. I think there's like Harry Potter candles that are just like that, where it's like you burn it and then you get a piece of gold or jewelry or whatever. And so I really needed to differentiate myself technically and also appearance wise. That's why I decided to do 2 layers. So technically, it helps to create a moat, because it takes double the time to make a candle, because I have to let the first layer set before I pour the second layer. So because it takes double the amount of time, I'm pretty sure other candle makers will not want to wait for that. And the second thing is, like I said, I think everything can be beautiful, even in its parts. So in terms of the glasses I choose, I always choose an iridescent glass, so it's like extra shiny. And in terms of the wax, I like color the wax every time. I individually color each one, which is a bit of a pain, but I've gotten the hang of it now. So those parts I also feel like separately need to be beautiful. So it's a combination of looking at what's out there, and seeing who's doing things well, who's doing things not well, and my values in a candle.
Agreed on your choices, because there's a plurality of choices there, from the staging, I guess, for lack of a better word, of the wax, of your coloring of the wax, of your glassware. Because I was going to mention that, like, the glassware in itself is super special. Then there's all of these other elements, that again appeal to different. Oh my God! Why different senses, right? The sense of touch, because that glass is also so smooth, right? The sense of your vision, because it's suddenly like you're looking at these beautiful colors. Also, the way that those 2 sections connect, and then of course the scents, like, which I'm getting a lot of the scent, which you should get into, of it being unlit, which you just did a cast that like blew my mind. I was like, wait, there's 2 different types of scents, and they burn differently. Like, all this like was just blowing my mind, because this is stuff that I never even considered. I was just lighting candles, and I was like, oh, like, this candle just is better unlit. So I've been getting the sense of yours unlit, and you're inspiring me to just go light it. Also, I will apologize that I haven't even yet subscribed, but you can, what is it? You can guarantee that after this, I will be subscribing to your Hypersub, which you should be shilling here as well, because I think that's a wonderful way to support you. What I did also want to bring up that Pichi mentioned, if you do a baking candle collab, may I please ask for chocolate chip cookies, because that is my obsession. That's my vice. It's chocolate chip cookies. So a chocolate chip cookie candle with chocolate chip cookies to pair with that.
That's good. That's good feedback. Actually, I was going through my fall scents just last night, and I do have a cocoa scent, which I think you might like. I have to combine it with a few different things, but we're gonna see. And also, I think you two and everyone on the Unlonely get a little bit of the preview, but for this quarter's Hypersub, I think I'm gonna do a pistachio cream and bread candle. So it's gonna be food based, and I think it's going to be a change from my typical, florals, mango, peach. But I think it'll be really good. So the food candles are coming. Don't eat it though. It's very toxic. No, it's not toxic, but don't eat it.
Can I say that what you're saying right now reminds me of one of these things that I've seen in the ice cream aisle, which is like the Tonight Show's collaboration with Ben and Jerry's, and they're named right after something witty about that, like the Tonight Dough or something like that. This is really interesting to consider when it comes to candles, because even though it's not edible, your scent is, I think, in my opinion, better, stronger than your taste buds. Like for me, my satisfaction with anything, especially food, comes from the scent. Sure, the beauty of it is important, like beautifully presented food. But if it doesn't smell good, I'm not going to enjoy it as much. So to think that there might be some like collaboration opportunities here for like a smell, or a scent for a candle, I think that's marvelous, and I'm here for it for sure.
Yeah, you had me at bread. I was like, oh, bread scented candle, done, instant subscribe. And I too, I would love to hear more about your thoughts on Hypersub, because I think a lot of people are using Hypersub in a really creative way. I see innovation on this front, almost weekly in my feed, but I really think you're one of the first people to kind of combine, online and IRL with like a physical product that, comes with the subscription. Can you just talk more about your thoughts on that and why you decided to do Hypersub versus like a very traditional online retail store? I'd love to hear your thought process.
Sure. So I guess I'll shill my Hypersub a little bit right now. I do have a Hypersub, so you can subscribe with crypto to my candle club, and you get a candle, 8-ounce candle every single quarter, and it's dual layered. So it's great for gifts. It's great. You can also gift someone a subscription. It's great for yourself. Basically anything, and you get access to a group chat which has a lot of really, really awesome people in it. Not just me. I think every person that joins is like actually surprisingly like a founder. So I feel like everyone who joins is quote unquote early. And if you're building something and you want to be in a supportive community of people who are also building something, I think it's well worth it to join. And you get a candle, so you can talk about all the stressful stuff with everyone in the chat, and then you can light your candle. So I guess that's the end of my shilling. Anyways.
Wait, so I just heard free therapy session with awesome people, plus like an action item at the end where I can then have a moment of reflection and push a little of the stress out of my life with a bubble bath and a candle. Did I hear all this correctly?
You said it a lot better than me, but yes.
Okay, yeah. I'm in.
Talk about that collaboration, because I saw that you did a collaboration with one of the meditation subscriptions on Hypersub, which I thought was so amazing. That's probably the first collaboration that I've seen on Hypersub that I thought it was the most intelligent and the one that made the most sense.
Thank you. Yeah. So Lorianne, which is the name of the yogi, and her company On Air. So I believe she made On Air, and she runs virtual classes and yoga retreats and mindfulness meditation stuff. I was lucky enough and privileged enough to be able to partner with her for a 12-minute guided meditation, a candle meditation. So luckily that meditation was able to be dropped to all of her subscribers as well as my subscribers. You can also get it for $5 on Zora, or if you're willing and able, and if not, you can also use it for free. So we did that collaboration together, and that was really meaningful to me because I also practice yoga and mindfulness. And I think Lorianne is just an amazing teacher, an amazing meditation guide, and I'm very grateful that we were able to partner.
So there's a question in the audience from Mercury Rain, who I believe is Tori. And the question had to do with how you deal with physical addresses. And I responded, I think you use Shopify, which I think is going to start opening up this conversation to the integration piece of the technology. First of all, can you confirm that it's Shopify? And second of all, can you kind of explain how you've tied that in with your Hypersub?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, Tori. Thank you very much for your question. For physical address collection, I do use Shopify for address collection as well as fulfillment. Luckily, I have sort of kind of a business partner. He actually works at Shopify full time. So we are able to get the Shopify plan, like the corporate plan, like totally for free. So I'm saving like $500 a month, which is really nice. And I get a really great discount on shipping, which means that for my Hypersub subscribers, everyone who subscribes already has a shipping included in their sub. So Shopify has given me really great tools to grow my business and fulfill the business, because right now, commerce, on-chain commerce is in its nascency, like extreme nascency. So it's a little bit disjointed how I have Hypersubs and then I have to fulfill it through Shopify. But overall, I think the process will get easier as people start to build more.
So there was a couple of things in Pichi. I know this is where you shine. So there's a couple of things that we started talking about last week. We were talking about Buoy, right? And so we were kind of diving into it and looking at it as this, powerful search engine for Farcaster. But I think it was Pichi that started this thread, and then Sam, I think I saw, or it might have been Sam. You were talking about perks, and then you were talking about, oh my gosh, I need to go back to my Farcaster to remember exactly what they were. But perks was definitely one of them. And there was another application, and I was like, whoa, like these are things that I've seen like on my peripheral vision, because there's only so much attention I can give everything that's coming at me on Farcaster, especially when I'm using Buoy, right, to like search for things. Can you tell me a little bit about these other kind of tools, or just your tech stack in general, and how you've considered them initially, like how they come into your own peripheral vision, how you test that out, how you make sense of things to work for you, and then just in general, like what are you using, and what and why would you use them, or why do you use them?
Sure, yeah. So I use Shopify to fulfill my orders. I use Klaviyo for Web2 marketing. I use Notion for organizing my internal Candle stuff. I use Hypersub for my subscriptions, and I also have a Shopify app on my website, humankind.place, and people can subscribe in fiat as well. Overall, I think what's influenced my tech stack is just if I see a product and it takes a minute to download, then I just try it. And I think like the products that work really well just click. Like you don't have to think about you liking it. You just start using it naturally. And I think those are the tools for me that have clicked and worked really well and almost automatically. With Hypersub, Johnny, the founder, he's been super, one of the founders, he's been super nice. I've gotten like white glove onboarding basically for the Farcon campaign, as well as deploying this last contract, Sam's Candle Club. So I think that once you use a tool and it just clicks, then you use it. And if it doesn't and you can't log in and it's clunky, then don't. But if you need it that bad and it's still clunky, then you got to use a clunky product. So I try not to think too much about the tech stack because, like I said, it's tools. And I also think that at this stage of the business, for tech founders, a lot of them want to, this is my hot opinion, they want to over-optimize every single tool they use. They want to over-optimize their emails, their text messages. They want to consolidate their DMs. There's always this urge to find a solution when really you just need to go through the schlep. Like you just need to do the work. And I'm a huge promoter of just like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to use the products that work really well for me, and I'm just going to do the work, and that's it.
I love that. And I want to highlight something you said where you said, when you were using Hypersub, Johnny, of course, is on Farcaster. The team is like really responsive. Do you think that helped you as well? Like have a much better experience? The fact that you could reach out and they were, I would say, like so ridiculously, awesomely responsive to help and feedback. Is that like one of the reasons why you leaned in? Because for me, that's something I think is very Farcaster unique and why I tend to use a lot of Farcaster tools, because the founders are are extremely open to feedback, and I would even say are thirsty for it, and are always willing to have that conversation and ask you, how you're using the product and tell you what they think about it. And for me, that's made it easy for me to lean into this creator stack. Do you kind of get the same vibe and feel?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about running a business. Like, you just have to be responsive. Like, it's just work etiquette, right? It's work etiquette to respond to people in a timely manner. And yeah, like, no problems with the communications with them. They're pretty great. And even for me, like, people say, "Oh, I can't believe I just subscribed to the Hypersub and then I got automatically added to the chat." But it's just me doing it manually. There's no automation. They're like, "Wow, you really set it up." I really didn't. So I think that responsiveness adds a special touch, like you said, and makes me want to use their product more.
Yeah, shout out Hypersub. Sorry, shout out Hypersub, because I think Johnny is probably one of those founders on Farcaster that's building something that is pretty well integrated to the Farcaster ecosystem, that is super active, is really good at the education piece too. Could he do more? Could the project do more? Absolutely. But he's always testing his own product in public and then sharing the experiments that he's running, which I am a huge advocate for. Is like, show me how you're like dog fooding your own product, which also shout out on Lonely, because I'm seeing Grace in here and she's minting or clipping some of the content here and immediately making it available to mint. I love seeing that from founders. So shout out to founders who do that and who are super available to help, which also Grace is super gracious with her time and always helping me improve the experience here on Unlonely for us in Crypto Sapiens. But sorry, Pichi, you were going to say something and I interrupted you.
No, not at all. I was going to say some of the same thing. Like, the chat is very lit. People are very excited. And I see some flavor scent combination requests coming down the line here. But Sam, I really loved what you said about doing the work and how you're kind of making it seamless for your customers, because I think a lot of people forget that like, usually sometimes things look really smooth on the surface, but that's because someone is actually connecting all those dots in the back end. And I really appreciate that as well, when things just work for me seamlessly as a customer. But I know as soon as you said that, where you're like, yeah, they thought the chat was all automatic, but really I had to do that. I had to onboard them. I appreciate when anyone I'm dealing with makes it look smooth and easy for me, because I know that it's not really easy. Like, the easier and smoother it looks, the more work I know it actually takes. So I appreciate you kind of highlighting that like, there are all these cool tools, but as a founder, you still have to connect it together and you still have to be really responsive, because that's what people remember, is that you're helpful and you're always there for them. And they have just such a good impression that, wow, that all worked flawlessly. And maybe in the background, it's all held together with duct tape, because all of my stuff definitely is. But I want it to look seamless to everyone else. So I just appreciate you saying that there's a lot of work that goes in the back end, and it might look all, flushed and beautiful on the front end, but it's a lot of work behind the scenes. And I think people need to hear that more, because sometimes you see a finished very polished product, or a finished beautiful candle, and you say, wow, they make it look so easy, it must be easy. And it's like, no, the more it looks easy, the harder it really is to make that all work seamlessly.
Of course. Thank you for appreciating that. I'm glad it's hard. I like that it's hard, because I'm competitive and I love a challenge, and I really want to make the best candle ever and create the best experience for my customers.
So I did also want to give Pichi your flowers, because I don't think that for the rest of us who are watching your work, from the outside, are seeing any of those seams. Like, your work is pretty seamless, and I'm super grateful that you've also chosen to collab with me on this experience here, on this experiment with media, to kind of talk about the new creator economy, the creator stack that's emerging on Farcaster. So you're doing amazing. Please recognize that, and we do not see the seams.
You are too kind, because I think the mantra on Farcaster is very much build in public, and my mantra is break in public, because I tend to try things very quickly and very soon, and I'm really good at finding bugs. It is my superpower in life. And I'm really good at showing those bugs on my feed. And I'm very lucky that people don't call me out too often for it. But if there is a bug, I will find it. And I just appreciate having all that support where founders show up for me. And when I report bugs, they're like, oh my God, let me fix that ASAP. Because it makes my life much, much better when I have folks to reach out to and smooth over some of those. I don't want to call them mistakes, because that's the wrong word. It's just that when you try a lot of new things when they're early, you're going to find the edge cases and you're going to learn from it. Like, I'll give everybody a pro tip. If you mint something on Rodeo, since that's kind of brand new and everybody just got access to it, as an artist, you need to mint one for yourself. It's not automatic like some of the other platforms. So I learned the hard way that I don't have some of my own mints. And it's like, oh, I feel like an idiot, but I made an assumption because I used other similar minting platforms that always minted one for the creator. And again, I put like my previous experiences on a new product, and that was wrong of me. So there's times where you got to try new things, but you also have to remember that everybody's building something a little different, and don't make an assumption that it's going to work like another product. Otherwise, you're the person in the corner that doesn't have your own art. And you're like, well, I mean, I have it because I made it, but it's not the same as having it, in my wallet as an NFT kind of thing. So I'm like, oh, that sucked. I forgot to make one for myself. So I appreciate that you say you don't see the seams, but I see the bumps in the road that I try to tar over on the daily. And I'm glad that it looks a little more together on the front end, but on the back end, I feel like I'm one of those little ducks in the water that's just like furiously paddling, and it just looks like I'm floating smoothly, and I'm not. So I want to make sure it's clear to folks that there's a lot of craziness on the back end, and I break things every day. But I appreciate that this is the place to break things, and no one judges you for it. And I think this is a place where you can put out an MVP or put out your draft or your work in progress. And instead of people making fun of you, they will add constructive feedback. And that's why I'm so willing to do it. And I'm so willing to learn in public and break in public and try in public, because I know the community will show up for me and say, hey, thanks for trying that. And thanks for making that mistake and sharing, that feedback that you have to mint your own stuff so that I didn't miss out on that and make that same mistake. Like, if I can save somebody 5 minutes, I'm here for it. So with that, Sam, I'd love to ask you more just about kind of your Farcaster experience in general, because I do feel like half of my feed is really technical, and sometimes going into like, why is this frame broken and not working? And then it's very refreshing to come to what I consider this other side of Farcaster and see, people like you posting who are using all these same tools, but your feed is definitely not like the super technical feed. It's actually really enjoyable. And I get to see many sides of your personality and your thought process. Like, you've been on Farcaster for a long time. How is that for you? Because now I feel like there is a lot more content, but I know that when the network was new, it was very tech and dev heavy. And what was that like to kind of, be an island of calm and serenity in a place of, that very much valued like ones and zeros at the beginning?
Sure. I mean, Farcaster has been really awesome. Actually, I met my boyfriend on Farcaster. And we've been dating for 1.5 years now. So I don't take away all the tech stuff. I take away that, hey, like, I have this amazing relationship with this amazing person now. And if I had to sum up my experience of all of the great things, like, that would be probably the number one thing. When I first joined Farcaster, I think what I appreciated is, like you were saying, the builder energy, like breaking in public. I really love like all the stuff you said, Peachy, like just now. And the thing with candles is that, like, my first batch of candles were really fucking shitty. They were tea lights. And I know that you said they look like chocolate, but when they came out, the packaging was not protective enough. So all the tea lights came banged up. It literally looked like someone had thrown them against the floor. And that's how they got to all of my customers' houses. And I actually, when I did that, I was really upset. But no one asked for a refund. Everyone just said, like, this is a work in progress. Like, it makes them look unique, and this is your MVP, so it's okay. And that acceptance from the community is something that I think that I would never get anywhere else, because they're okay doing, like, paying for things in a janky way, and they're okay with having a little janky candles at the very beginning, and that was very special to me.
Can we shout out community here, and humanity, probably better said, because I think this is something that Pichi started, which led to this point that Sam just so eloquently expanded on, which for me, it's always been layer zero, right? As some people call it, which is like the human layer. The tech stack is built on top of that. But especially when it comes to social, like on Farcaster, it's super important to lead with humanity, with kindness. And I don't think it's a surprise that your business is called Humankind, because it really just merges those two ideas. So I love to hear stories about people meeting IRL from URL experiences, right? So in your case, your partner, your boyfriend, came from Farcaster, which at one point I'm sure was a very foreign type of experience, which then became something familiar and something super amazing. But also then the community that's built around you and Humankind and candles and candle making and your production in public, all of these things, and being supportive. I think that is just such a beautiful thing, and that's particularly why I'm a bigger fan of Farcaster than I am any other platform. And this includes other Web3 platforms that I've used heavily in the past, because I think that there's something very human about what people are leading with here. And by the way, one of the reasons why I don't like algorithmic changes to the way the feed works and everything, because it forces people to behave very unlike what they would normally behave if they were talking to another friend in person. Now they're having to put up a different front in order for the algorithm to discover them and promote them. I want to discover Sam for the person Sam is, and Pichi for the person that Pichi is, or Grace for the person that Grace is, etc. So those things to me are kind of why I use Farcaster, and I'm just loving kind of hearing the stories both on Pichi's side and your side, Sam, of like that humanity that's coming through and how you're growing your business, it sounds like, too.
Of course, yeah. It's like everyone knows this, but Farcaster, Warpcast, they haven't reached product market fit. So all that we have right now is our community, and I think honestly that's all we need. Like, all the tech stuff is going to come later. And I'm going to leave it to the big guys, Dan and V, to figure that out. But for now, we have a really, really strong community. I've collaborated with so many people here, which I'm so grateful for and honored. And I don't think I could get that anywhere else.
Yeah, I actually really loved what you said about how your customers responded, right, to when things weren't perfect. Like when you're, obviously shipping issues are not your fault, right? Like you put it in that box, you send it out, and you were dependent on the shipping company to treat that package properly. And we all know they don't. Like we've seen the videos of them throwing boxes around and all that stuff. Does not surprise me at all that it would be extremely difficult to ship things that are glass and fragile and all that. But I love what you said about how the community was like, it's okay, because I'm trying to think if you were doing this in a more traditional Web 2 way and you had started on Etsy, I cannot imagine the reviews that would come in, because I feel like that screen that separates us kind of takes away some of that humanity. And I think you would have gotten like a ton of terrible reviews that had nothing to do with the candles and everything to do with an experience that's not in your control. But I feel like the people who shop there would have, really leaned in and been like, this is unacceptable, I want a refund, blah, blah, blah. And when you said Farcaster people did none of that and instead said, hey, these are actually unique and it gives them character, like for me, that just sums up the Farcaster community and why I choose to stay and build here, even though it's not perfect, even though I agree with everything you're saying on that front, that like there's still a lot of room to go and to grow, but there's something special happening here. And I think I just love that your company is called Humankind, because it seems like that really sums up what a lot of us feel. And I think there's a je ne sais quoi here that's hard to describe, but I feel like as you said it, I was just nodding along, and you can't see me nodding along. So I had to tell you this. Like, I feel that in my soul that I can make mistakes here. I can be myself. I can try things out, and people are here on the journey with me, and they're on the journey with you. And instead of coming back with, oh, your product's terrible and you should have done blah, blah, blah. They're like, hey, things happen. Let's work through it together. Maybe you need a different shipping partner because these people obviously don't value your business enough. And next time around, it'll be better. And that just does not happen on the internet anymore. Like, the internet is a terrible, dark, scary place. And I would be scared to put myself out there on a lot of these other platforms. I don't think I would get that same response. And I think you just kind of hit the nail on the head of like, what makes Farcaster special. And it really is the people that are here, because you said it really well earlier too. It's builder energy, and builders come in all forms. And everyone here is like, if you're trying and you're putting something out there, they respect it and they are willing to go along with you on the journey, growth pains, bumps and all, because they know that you're here, which means you get it, you're early, you're willing to do the work, and they respect that and they're willing to go on this journey with you. And I don't feel like that would happen on Etsy or, on Patreon, or if I try to put my art, outside of Farcaster. I just don't think I would get the same response. And I just felt you on so many levels when you were speaking about that.
Yeah, it was really awesome that like I met all of my customers during FarCon. Like, everyone that bought from me, like, I was able to meet, and I have the opportunity to interact with them on a day-to-day on things that don't relate to candles. And I think that increases their empathy. Whereas, like you said, like Etsy or Twitter or whatever, people are a little bit more cynical. People like are not, I would say, as open. And the internet, especially right now, is just not, it's just not it. I don't know how to say it, but it's really just kind of a cesspool sometimes. And there is very little room for imperfection, which I really don't like, because we are not all perfect. So
Yeah, I'll say that for me, coming into FarCon, first of all, I'll say that it was great to see the space that was given to the Farcaster community through FarCon, because I had just come back from kind of one of these more global type events that has shifted a bit into a much more institutional space, which is great. We need spaces for everything. But I really miss kind of these smaller, more curated spaces for, community building. And I remember I was walking around and I was trying to meet as many of the folks that had booths alongside with Crypto Sapiens at FarCon. And I got to meet you, and I excuse me, I'd never really met you. I had never really dived into humankind, and you just told your story so well. And of course, your candles speak for themselves. And I was like, yeah, guaranteed. Got to get one of these. This sounds fun. And ever since then, I've just been like following you on Farcaster, and it's just been really cool to see just the way that you've been growing the brand, growing your product and everything else. So yeah, I agreed. I think these IRL experiences are super powerful to bring people, together, obviously, but also to kind of surface some of these wonderful things that are getting built in the virtual space as well.
of course, this I know you said you summed it up. I was waiting for Peach to say something because I feel like Peachy's really intelligent and I could learn more. So maybe I'm calling on you a bit. I want to hear what you think of that.
No, so I think a very similar vibe, right? Like, so I had heard really good things about you from Be Curious because we met in Japan, and she said she was, going to come to FarCon, and she said, yeah, I'm going to share space with this awesome person. You've got to follow them on Farcaster, and I think our table's going to be beautiful. And I got to say, like, I subscribed to Crypto Sapiens on site when I saw all of the merchandise Humpty had, because I was like, oh, this is a vibe. This is a brand. This is beautiful. This is somebody who is like tying IRL to URL. I love it. And then I turned around and saw the table that you and Be Curious had set up. And it was just like this beautiful matcha and these beautiful candles. And it was such a, just like a little oasis of space and peace in an otherwise like very industrial chic space. And it was like, oh, this is like the island of serenity right here, where you can like light a candle and enjoy a beautiful cup of tea. And it was so wonderful to see you guys kind of have that online friendship become a real life friendship. And I thought that was magical. And I had all these tiny magical moments at FarCon because of stuff like that, because it, like seeing everybody's stuff on display really made me recognize like, wow, there are so many amazing humans behind these screens. And I just see them as PFPs, but they're actually these multifaceted, awesome people who are doing crazy things and doing all these amazing collaborations. And getting to see some of the physical side of that was really exciting, because I think so much of our time is spent, terminally on chain, terminally online, and having IRL experiences changes everything, because it gave me a ton of new people to like follow and interact with. And now when I have those interactions, I don't see your PFP as much as I see you. And I think that can't happen unless you've had one of these IRL experiences where you've gotten to meet other Farcasters. And I'm encouraging, so many people, especially as like base is trying to get more localized, like go to a meetup. It is so important, and it'll change your whole experience on this app once you get to see, people in real life and make those connections, because then these aren't just like conversations with avatars anymore. They're conversations with people that I consider friends and I want to be friends with and I want to have real relationships with. And some of that, all just started from walking by a booth and seeing something beautiful and having it resonate and say, oh, I got to figure out what this person's up to because I like their style. I like their vibe. And that just doesn't come across in a little tiny PFP in a circle sometimes.
Yeah, it's magical seeing people who are PFPs in person, because like I think like I don't know if you two feel like this way, but I create a vision of like what I think this person looks like in my head, and then usually when I meet them in person they look totally different. Not to say they're like cats or they look like nouns or whatever, but it's just like, wow, you are a human and you are real and you're standing in front of me and we are hugging and we've had some really meaningful conversations. Like there's some people on Farcaster or Warpcast that I'm really close with, and I don't even know their real names. I met them in real life, and they've like supported me through Hypersub, like given me like hundreds of dollars. I've gone out to dinner with them. I don't even know who they are. And that I think that that kind of mysteriousness too also helps me percolate a bit, and it makes me think more meaningfully about the relationship I have with a person.
Well, I think for me, that's something that's at the forefront, or at least at the front of my mind when I'm thinking about the things that we build at Crypto Sapiens. And it basically talks about the paradigm shift that I think is happening around the world. First of all, the world is such a big place, but we're connected digitally. And I think as crypto, as Web3 starts to make progress or inroads into the traditional tech stack, there's these things that are going to become a bit more visible, I guess, or more commonly discussed. And that is the idea of like identity, in a digital space, shared identity. One of the things that I jumped onto the Noun Square tavern earlier today, and we were talking about just nouns in general and like shared identity and the things that you can do together, finding your tribe, and then just doing fun stuff on chain with one another. And I think that's, again, how I think about Crypto Sapiens. That's how I think about, humankind. It's like, that's my tribe. We can talk about sense. We can talk about candles. We can talk about how we relieve our stress. We can talk about like being a creator. We can talk about the tech stack. But at the end of the day, we're all really kind of looking to you, Sam, in terms of like what you kind of like establish there, both in terms of like your creative process, the conversations that you lead, the technology that you use, all of these things. You're kind of curating yourself as the founder, as the creator at Humankind. And I think the same thing can be said about Crypto Sapiens. The same thing could be said about anime manga. The same thing could be said about, just any tribe that is being built on Farcaster. And for me, that's really interesting because you're now, what was already kind of like a very open but yet fractured space is becoming even more fractured through like this kind of more nuance of technology. And I think that we need things that bring us back together. And so this whole shared identity through things like Humankind, I think is super interesting. I went on a tangent there. I'm sorry. I don't even know if any of that makes sense, but to what you said, Sam, totally like connected on something that I'm thinking a lot about. I don't have very many answers for, but I'm definitely experimenting with to see if maybe I can come up with one of the possible answers.
Of course, yeah. I think all of us are growing our communities, growing our tribes. That's why I called it Humankind. Actually, the name came to me in a dream. And then when I woke up, I was like, you know what? This is the name. And luckily, the font and the logo also came to me in the dream. So logistically, that was convenient. But yeah, it came to me because it sounds nice. It sounds a little cheeky. Like, Sam, I'm the founder of Humankind. Like, what does that even mean? And also, I think that like I want my candles to connect other people to each other. So one instance was I have one of my worst sellers is like love and loss. Like no one has bought that candle because it sort of has this negative connotation. So the other thing about my branding, my candles, is that I try to represent duality of feelings in a candle. So this feeling is about loving and losing. So there was one customer, I think in California, that bought this candle for me, and it's the worst selling candle. I used to joke with people that it smells a little bit like Granny's because it's like this very traditional rose scent, which some people like and some people don't. So I sent it to her, and I was like, oh, maybe this will be the last candle I ever make. And one comment she said, she took a picture with the candle, with her hand holding the candle, could see like there's wrinkles on her hand, and she said like, this candle reminded me about my childhood at my grandma's. And it's like, this grandma telling me that this candle reminds me of her grandma? Like, that's crazy. And that's what I really locked in, because I think I was having a really rough day that day. But when I saw her post and I saw that she said that to me, I felt so honored that that brought up that memory for her, because it's probably a long time that she hasn't had her grandma, because she looks like she's a grandma now. That gave me a lot of purpose.
Yeah, I'll have to find the research to send to you, but I was very interested in this, especially when I was in college, because I was always looking for hacks to how can I memorize or remember things better. But there is, it's a scientific fact that like memories are attached to like different scents. So if you smell something while you're studying and smell it again while you're trying to regurgitate that, those memories or that comes back into I guess into your current memory, so you can remember it better. So I can see how this is and it's it's a powerful thing. So I can see how this definitely connected at a very human level, to this person who was supporting you. I will also add a little bit of Humpty trivia here, just for anybody who's interested. Nobody asked, but back when I was very much into drawing, developing characters, as an animator, previous life, I used to basically force myself to sleep very late. I would really do things to my body to force some really wild dreams. So there was a lot of things that I did that I won't mention here because it's being recorded, that allowed me to my brain to develop these characters and ideas in my mind. And then I would wake myself up to immediately start drawing. And I came up with some of the wildest characters and storylines because, they came to me in my dream, but I really was forcing my brain to think in a very stressed out way. So it's really cool to see that through your own dreams, maybe in a much more peaceful way, you were able to kind of also discover the name of your business, but also the font and everything else that's associated with your business.
Yeah, I did my degree in psychology, so I know a little bit about memory and thoughts, and they're powerful things, and I think you'd be pleasantly surprised at how resilient our brains are, how intelligent we are, and I think we're constantly surprising ourselves with what we can come up with.
So I think what I'm hearing is that when we all get our fall candles, we should have either a unlonely stream or a tavern or a farhouse where we all get together, light our candles together and do something fun so that we can really create a new core shared memory so that every time we light that candle, we think about the human connections we're making on Farcaster. How does that sound?
I'm in.
I hear your feedback. I will do it. It's going to happen.
Oh, it's like an unboxing, but like a group unboxing project. I love this.
Maybe for Christmas I'll do like make your own candle boxes or something like that. We'll see. We can do a class together or a guided meditation. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm here for guided meditation. I'm here for crafting. Like, you name it, I will be there. This all sounds fabulous.
Awesome.
Cool. I mean, we've reached the top of the hour, or at least the hour that we're recording here. So I just want to make sure that before we close out, we give the floor to Sam. Anything we missed here that you think we definitely should not have missed? And if we've covered everything, or if there's anything you'd like to add. Also, where can people go today to, like, the easiest way for people to find your subscription and get started today with Humankind?
Of course, yeah. So thank you very much, Humpty and Pichi. Like I said, I'm so grateful and honored that you would ask me to chat with you. You two are really fun, so relaxed, so intelligent, all of the positive things. So I'm like, I know I've said that like so many times, but I am, because people, like, when good people want to spend time with me, I feel great. And I think you two are really amazing, great people. So yeah. In terms of like where to find my Hypersub, you could just go to my page at Samantha on Warpcast. Peachy just gave me a shout out. So if you want to subscribe in a frame, which he posted just now, thank you very much. You could go there, and you can also go to my website, humankind.place, and subscribe if you don't want to pay with crypto, and also get one-off candles if you want. So there's a bunch of different options to go through. I have a channel on Warpcast, I have a Hypersub, and my website, humankind.place. Thank you.
Awesome. Peachy, any last words here?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, because this has been really insightful. I actually got really emotional at the end hearing that story about the grandma with her grandma, and it made me really think and, realize, like, we're in this crypto space, right? But when we meet each other in real life, it's hugs, not handshakes, because we do feel connected to each other as humans. And even if we're PFPs and we don't know what we do in real life, we know each other on a really deep, interesting level. And I've just appreciated getting to know you a little bit deeper today. So thank you for hanging out with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Peachy. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, everyone who's been chatting with us on Unlonely. This has been a wonderful time here for me as well. And you know where to find us. We'll be here. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, do go to the Humankind website. Go follow Samantha. Go follow Humankind on Farcaster. Subscribe. I will be setting that example myself immediately after this space. Humankind.place. There you go. That's the website. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.